How do you put a pick-me girl in her place? I was walking home alone after a late meeting when a man let out a wolf whistle. Does a pretty thing like you like it from behind? He yelled. Luckily, I was on FaceTime with my best friend, an ace, so I wasn't scared until he started chasing me. Analyze, I'm going to run to the 24-hour pharmacy on 3rd Street. That's when I heard it. A guy flirting with her on the other side. So, you're telling me you've never been to MCO's? Never. Annalise giggled. But I've always wanted to go. The man behind me was maybe 20 feet away now. I could practically smell him. Analyze. I hissed, breaking into a run. Call 911. Hold on, she told me. Then she turned back to him. Sorry, my friend's being paranoid about some guy. I cut through an alley. A stupid move, but the pharmacy was right there, just across the street. The man followed, his breathing getting heavier. Come back here. I just want to talk. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. The pharmacy lights were on, but the doors were locked. My stomach dropped. Analyze, the pharmacy is closed. I need you to call someone now. Wow, you go to Greece every summer, she was saying. That must be incredible. I tried calling 911 myself while running, but my fingers were shaking too hard. Eventually, the call went through, but immediately went to hold. Your wait time is approximately 12 minutes. 12 minutes. I might not have 12 seconds. Annalise? I screamed into the phone. He has a knife. Shouldn't you help your friend? The guy on Analyze end said. Sounds like she's in trouble. Oh my gosh, you're so right. Annalise said, suddenly animated. I'm so sorry. That's so thoughtful of you to notice. I heard fumbling. Hello, 911. My friend is being chased by a man with a knife on 3rd Street near the CVS. The man was 10 feet away. I grabbed a garbage can lid, the only thing I could find. He lunged. I swung the lid and caught him in the jaw, sending him stumbling back. My legs were burning, but I kept running. Where maybe anyone would be driving by at 4 a.m. They're sending someone, Annalise said brightly. Then to the guy, you were so sweet to remind me. I get distracted sometimes. Where are they? I gasped, looking behind me. The man had gotten up and was following again, but limping now. How long? She wants to know how long. Analyze repeated like she was ordering coffee. Uh-huh. They said about 8 minutes. There's a big fire downtown. So, the man grabbed my hair from behind, yanking me backward. The phone flew out of my hand, skittering across the pavement. I could hear Inace's voice. So, anyway, MCO's, would you take someone with you? I bit the man's hand hard enough to taste blood. He cursed and let go. I dove for my phone, my knees scraping concrete. On the screen, I could see Annalise sitting at some bar, leaning toward the sky, twirling her hair around her finger. Tell them I'm on the corner of 3rd and Bryant, I screamed. The man grabbed my ankle. Did you hear that? The guy at the bar asked. Oh, she'll be fine. Annalise waved her hand dismissively. She gets anxious. So, tell me more about your yacht. I managed to scramble into a 24-hour laundromat. The man was right there pushing against the locked door. Please, I begged the woman. Call someone. Anyone. She fumbled for her phone, speaking rapid Spanish to someone. The man gave up pushing and started walking around looking for another entrance. They're 2 minutes away, Annalise said suddenly. The police, I mean. Oh, wow. Is that a Rolex? 2 minutes. The back door was already splintering. It's a PC Philippe, actually. The guy said, you have good taste. The door gave way. The man stepped through, his face completely calm now, almost serene. I backed against the washing machines, gripping a bottle of bleach someone had left behind. You shouldn't have run that far, he said with a grin. That's when we both heard it. Sirens. Analyze was still on speaker. Wow, Peckvipe, that's even nicer than a Rolex, right? The man lunged. I threw the bleach in his face and ran, bursting out of the laundromat just as 2 police cars screeched up. The cops tackled him as he came out after me, his eyes streaming from the chemicals. The next morning, I went to Annalise's apartment. She answered the door in the guy's Michigan hoodie, looking confused about why I was there so early. I almost died last night. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. The cops came, didn't they? That's when something inside me snapped. You want to know the truth? I asked. Men don't notice you because you're special. They notice you because you're easy to manipulate, because you'll literally let your best friend die for their attention. And when they realize you have nothing inside you except for desperation and a ran through coochie, they leave. I didn't realize it yet, but my comments had stung Annalise and she wanted to use them to ruin everything I had. Her eyes went cold and hard like glass, and for another second, I just stood there watching her face change from hurt to something else, something worse. She stepped back and grabbed the door with both hands and slammed it so hard the walls shook and a picture frame fell off the hallway wall behind me. I could hear her inside throwing things, something glass breaking, then more crashing sounds. My legs felt weak as I walked down the hallway to the elevator. My hands shaking so bad I missed the button twice before hitting it. The elevator took forever, and when it finally came, I leaned against the wall inside. My whole body trembling from everything that had happened in the last 12 hours. Outside in the parking garage, my car sat 3 rows over and I walked to it slowly, each step feeling heavy. I got in and closed the door and just sat there gripping the steering wheel, my knuckles white. 10 minutes passed before I felt steady enough to put the key in and start driving. The streets were almost deserted on Sunday morning as I drove home on autopilot, following my usual route. At my apartment building, I parked crookedly and didn't bother fixing it. Inside, I went straight to the couch and collapsed, still wearing my jacket and shoes. Everything from last night hit me in waves, the man chasing me, his hand yanking my hair, the metallic taste of blood when I bit him, the bleach I threw in his face, and then Annalise, still talking about that guy's watch. My stomach churned at how she kept flirting while I screamed for help. The words I'd thrown at her kept echoing in my head, harsh but true. My body was heavy with exhaustion, but my mind wouldn't stop racing. Forcing myself up, I went to the kitchen, found some crackers, and made myself eat 3 even though my stomach turned at the thought of food. Then I grabbed my keys and headed back out. I needed to file a police report while everything was still fresh. The station was 20 minutes away, and my hands shook on the wheel the whole drive. Inside, the harsh white lights made everything look sharp and unforgiving. The officer at the desk gave me forms and pointed to a row of plastic chairs. My hand cramped as I wrote out every detail, what happened, where I ran, what the man looked like, his height, what he said, everything I could remember. After about 40 minutes, a woman in a dark suit walked over and introduced herself. "I'm Detective Donna Curry," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "I'll be handling your case." She led me into a small room with a table and 2 chairs and sat across from me, her eyes kind but serious. "These cases can take time," she warned. "If they caught him, he might still make bail." She asked me to go over everything again, and I told her about the laundromat and the woman who called someone, about throwing the bleach, about Annalise being on FaceTime the whole time. By the time I left the station, it was afternoon. I drove home drained. Back at my apartment, I opened my phone and laptop and started taking screenshots of everything. The FaceTime call log showed 47 minutes, starting at 3:52 a.m. On Annalise's Instagram, I found her posts from last night at the bar, one at 4:11 a.m. of her with that guy, another at 4:23 a.m. of their drinks. My fingers moved automatically, saving everything, organizing it into a folder on my desktop. The screenshots felt like proof that I wasn't crazy, that it all really happened the way I remembered. Later, as the sun began to set, I picked up my phone to text Annalise. I typed out a message about needing space and setting boundaries after everything that happened. I hit send and saw the delivered notification, but no red receipt ever appeared. Still, 5 minutes later, she posted an Instagram story of herself getting coffee with some girl I didn't recognize. They were both laughing at something on her phone. She'd definitely seen my message. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. A car door slamming outside, footsteps in the hallway, even the ice maker in my fridge. I kept checking the locks, peering through the peephole, making sure the windows were latched. My heart raced every time I heard anything. When the sun finally came up, I was still on the couch. a kitchen knife sitting on the coffee table in front of me. I felt ridiculous, but also relieved the night was over. On Monday morning, I had to drag myself into work, and it felt surreal, like I was living in two different worlds. At my desk, I tried to focus on emails, but my mind kept replaying Saturday night. Around 10 o'clock, my supervisor, Liam Goldman, stopped by my cubicle. "You okay?" he asked, clearly noticing something was off. "Rough weekend," I muttered, not wanting to explain at work. He nodded and didn't press, but I felt his eyes on me for the rest of the morning. At lunch, sitting in the break room scrolling my phone, I saw Annalai's latest post, brunch with 3 girls, mimosas in hand. Her still wearing that stupid Michigan hoodie from the guy at the bar. The photos were all smiles and sunshine, like nothing had ever happened. My chest tightened with anger. She was moving on as if I hadn't spent the whole night unable to sleep. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang at my desk. Detective Curry's name lit up the screen. She said they were pulling footage from shops near the laundromat and asked if I could come in for a photo lineup if they found someone who matched my description. My palms went clammy just imagining his face again, but I agreed. What choice did I have? That night, I barely made it into bed before the nightmare started. Running down dark, empty streets, screaming for help, with no one answering. The man was always right behind me, no matter how fast I ran. I woke at 3 a.m., sheets soaked, heart pounding so hard it hurt. By Wednesday morning, I was at my computer searching my insurance site for therapists. I scrolled through names until I found Nia Martin, who had strong reviews for trauma work. The receptionist sounded kind, and when she said trauma counseling, my voice cracked. Tears streamed down my face before I could stop them. She booked me for Thursday afternoon. I hung up, embarrassed at crying to a stranger, but also a little lighter. Later that day, I checked Instagram on a bathroom break. Annalise had posted one of those quote stories. When people show you who they really are, believe them. Underneath, smaller text, some people create their own storms. Within an hour, 3 different friends texted me asking if we were fighting. I didn't answer. What could I say? Thursday morning, while making coffee, I got a DM from Bryson Null, the guy with the watch at the bar. "Hey, no hard feelings about the other night. Your friend seems sweet. Hope you're okay," smiley face. Reading it made my skin crawl, like bugs under my skin. That afternoon, Detective Curry called again to set up a photo lineup for Tuesday. She explained that even if I picked someone, it might not be enough without stronger evidence. Eyewitness accounts alone weren't reliable in court. The way she said it made everything feel pointless, like none of this would ever matter. Therapy that day came faster than I expected. Sitting in Nia Martin's office was harder than I imagined. I told her everything. She taught me a breathing technique, count to 4 while inhaling, hold for 4, then exhale for 4. For the first time since Saturday, I felt like maybe I wasn't completely losing it, even though my hands still shook when I left. Friday morning, an unknown number called as I was getting dressed. It was a court clerk, casually telling me about an arraignment date if they caught the guy, and that he'd probably make bail within a day. The idea of him walking free made me want to move to another apartment, maybe even another city. That afternoon, just after 3, I was working on a spreadsheet when an email from HR appeared regarding recent complaint. My stomach dropped. Someone had filed an anonymous report accusing me of fabricating a traumatic story for attention and creating a hostile work environment. The wording was polished, formal, exactly the kind of fake professional tone Annalise used. Just enough detail to sound convincing, but nothing to prove it. I read it 3 times, then closed my laptop and rested my head on my desk. My phone rang again, and I almost didn't answer, but I recognized the number from Saturday night. It was the woman from the laundromat, Olive Lee. She said she'd gotten my number from the police report and wanted to help however she could. Her English wasn't perfect, and she kept slipping between English and Spanish, but she kept repeating that she saw everything and wanted to support me. Hearing that made my eyes sting with tears. She agreed to talk to the police as a witness and even gave me her address in case I needed anything else. I must have thanked her 10 times before hanging up. I saved her number in my phone with a little heart next to it. That evening around 7 o'clock, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Annalise standing there, holding her phone at chest level, the screen clearly recording. She knocked and called out that she just wanted to talk and clear things up. I grabbed my own phone, hit record, and opened the door with the chain still on. Immediately, she launched into a performance, her voice overly sweet, loud enough for the recording, saying how worried she was about me and how I seemed to be having some kind of breakdown. I told her to leave, repeating that I didn't want contact. She kept fishing for me to say something about the assault or about what I'd said to her that morning. I only repeated that she had to leave my property immediately or I would call the police. After 5 minutes of trying different angles, she finally walked away. As soon as she was gone, I sat at my laptop and typed up everything that had happened, adding timestamps from my recording and describing how she positioned her phone to catch our exchange. I attached the video and emailed it to both Detective Curry and HR. Writing it all down and sending proof made me feel less powerless against whatever game Annalise was playing. The weekend dragged by, me jumping at every noise and checking the locks over and over. Monday morning came too fast, and I had to face the HR meeting they'd scheduled about the anonymous complaint. Liam sat in as my witness, which helped a little, though he looked uncomfortable. The HR rep read from her notes about a report claiming I was spreading false stories about a traumatic event to gain sympathy and creating a hostile work environment. She said they had to investigate, but I could share my side. I opened the folder I'd prepared and laid everything on the table like armor. First, the 911 call record showing I'd been on hold for 12 minutes. Then screenshots of Annalise's social media posts proving she was at the bar during my attack. Next, Olive's contact info and her statement that she'd witnessed everything. Finally, the police case number and Detective Curry's card. The HR woman photographed everything and said they'd need time to review, but that I could continue working while the investigation was ongoing. That afternoon, Detective Curry called again to discuss safety planning. At the station, she gave me a checklist that made everything feel both heavier and more manageable. She told me to change up my routes to and from work, always share my location with someone I trusted, and seriously consider a restraining order. She strongly recommended staying completely off social media during the investigation, but that night, I scrolled through Instagram anyway. Bryson had posted about drama magnets who ruined good vibes, with our mutual friends adding laughing emojis and comments about attention seekers. My finger hovered over the comment button, but I remembered Donna's advice and closed the app instead. The next morning, Olive called again. She said she wanted to provide a written statement and asked if the police could get her an interpreter for the formal interview, since she worried her English wasn't clear enough. Her determination to help despite the language barrier made me tear up again. I gave her Detective Curry's direct number and thanked her all over. Wednesday's therapy session with Nia helped me see what was happening in my head. She explained how Annalise's gaslighting triggered old guilt patterns about being too dramatic or too much. We practiced a grounding exercise, naming 5 things I could see, 4 I could touch, 3 I could hear. It helped when the anxiety started spiraling about whether people would believe me. Nia reminded me how Annalise had trained me for years to doubt myself. By Thursday, I noticed I'd been cut out of Marcus's birthday plans when Annalise posted about it. The isolation hurt, but pushed me to protect myself. That night, I recorded a detailed timeline video for HR, saving copies in multiple places. On Tuesday, my doorknob rattled, just my drunk neighbor, but I was terrified. The next day, I bought and installed an extra deadbolt and wedge. Detective Curry called. My attacker had posted bail. She urged me to file for a protection order, so I went to the courthouse with all my evidence. A clerk helped me finish the paperwork. Soon after, Sarah sent me a screenshot, Annalise mocking my protection order. At work, Liam warned HR might put me on leave, so I checked my finances. By Monday, I handed HR my organized evidence. They said it'd take 2 weeks to review. At the protection order hearing, Olive's interpreter didn't show, so the judge only granted a temporary order. Meanwhile, Annalise erased me from our friend group, posting healing brunch pictures. Nia helped me prepare for a public meeting with her. The cafe. Analyze loudly painted me as paranoid, while I stuck to facts. She later posted online about supporting friends, fooling others. But Detective Curry soon called. Traffic cameras caught the chase, and I confirmed the attacker in a lineup. HR later ruled Analyze's complaint unsubstantiated, but offered me part-time remote work and counseling. The next day, Liam exposed Analyze's edited audio, proving harassment. I added it to my growing file of documentation. Detective Curry called with good news. The laundromat footage matched 2 other assaults, and the judge finally denied bail. For the first time, I slept through the night. At the rescheduled hearing, Olive testified with an interpreter, and the judge granted me a 2-year protection order. Holding that paper felt like armored. I bought safety tools, enrolled in self-defense, and set up a rideshare budget. Remote work gave me space from Analyze allies, and counseling plus Nia's sessions helped me set stronger boundaries. Analyze still tried to reach me through others, but I blocked them. Curry said the case was strong with multiple victims and clear evidence. With new locks, a doorbell camera, and supportive neighbors, home finally felt safe. Nia helped me draft a firm no-contact email, which I sent and documented. Analyze threatened to sue, but a legal clinic assured me I was fine and helped me shut her down. At work, Liam moved me into a role that fit my strengths with the same pay and more flexibility. I even returned Analyze's hoodie with a simple note, closing that chapter. Friends drifted from her as her patterns became obvious, and I began building a new life surrounded by people who cared. Weeks later, I realized I was sleeping, laughing, and living again. The protection order held, the case moved forward, and Analyze faded from my thoughts. For the first time since the attack, I felt okay.